You may follow the conversation on Twitter through the hashtag vuelinglive. Pots seguir la conversa a Twitter a través del hashtag vuelinglive. Puedes seguir la conversación en Twitter a través del hashtag vuelinglive.
Honorable President of the Generalitat, of the Government of Catalonia, Minister, authorities, representatives of various institutions, and representatives of tourist industry companies, President and CEO of Vueling, members of the press.
Bona
Good
tarda,
evening.
buenas tardes.
Good evening.
And good evening as well to all the people who are watching us through internet all around the world. Welcome on board.
To one of the most special flights in the history of Vueling.
Una història
This
encara
is a
curta,
fairly short history
però
for
intensa.
now, but it's very
Hoy
intense.
Vueling emprende
Now
una nueva
Vueling
etapa
is
hacia
starting
un futuro
a new
también muy nuevo.
stage and working
El vol
toward a
serà
new future. This
intens,
flight
serà
will
ple
be
de
full of
reptes,
challenges
esperem que no
and
hi
very
turbulències,
intensive.
que
We
avui
hope
fa
there
bon
won't be
temps.
any turbulence. The
I serà
weather's
un
good
vol
today.
ple
And it will
d'il·lusions.
be
Aquest
absolutely
vol és la
packed with
suma
excitement, the
d'il·lusions
excitement of a
d'una
company
companyia,
and
del
of
seu
its
equip directiu
management team,
aquí present
which is present
i dels
here,
seus
and its
treballadors.
workers.
Si us plau, apaguin els
Please
seus
switch off
dispositius
your mobile
mòbils,
devices,
cordin-se el
fasten
cinturó
your seatbelts,
i
and
preparin-se
get
per
ready
viure
to
una
experience
experiència
something
única
unique
i
and
repetible que té com a
unrepeatable.
origen i
An
destí
experience
Barcelona
with
i el
origin
seu
and
aeroport,
destination in the city of
l'aeroport del
Barcelona
Prat.
and the airport of
Hoy
El Prat.
emprendemos nuestro
Today we
viaje
begin our
hacia el
trip to the
futuro.
future. Have a nice
Have a
Vueling.
nice Vueling.
That was like taking off in the cockpit. Can you imagine a cockpit this large? Ladies and gentlemen, here you have Mr. Josep Piqué, the president of Vueling Airlines. Thank you very much. Honorable President of the Government of Catalonia, Minister, authorities, friends. Since we are in the air now, I think it's a good time to go over our history, to go over the history of a company that was born in 2004, that's 8 years ago, and that has gone over a series of stages, as we all experience stages in our lives. We're all born, we have our childhood, our adolescence, our youth, and then we go into a mature age in order to achieve what we want to with our personal aspirations. Vueling was born in 2004, and in its first public appearance, it presented itself as the first new generation airline with headquarters in Barcelona, the first airline with headquarters in Barcelona. It was a very youthful airline. It started out with just 2 airplanes, 2 Airbus 320 models. It was only selling online. It flew to main airports. Unlike low-cost companies, it allowed booking of seats and it allowed online check-in. And it was also a very distinctive brand. We all know it quite well. The colors of the Mediterranean, yellow for the sun, Gaudí is a reference, dots linking it to new technologies, and some nice friendly clouds that speak to us in a strange sort of way, in a kind of Spanglish, with bits of French or Italian stuck in as well. And there was one feature that wasn't pleasing to everybody, but was always a hallmark of our company, and that's that it spoke to its customers on first-name terms, because it wanted to be really close to people and very dynamic. That was what we had at birth. But I'll wind up this anecdote by pointing out that we have reached our ripe, mature age, and being on first-name terms with everybody is no longer appropriate, so we will change the way we address people. But at any rate, that was a youthful, obviously, birth of the company. It went really well. It took off. We have some figures on the screen, so I'm not going to repeat them. But anyway, we grew very fast, number of planes, destinations, and routes. And in a favorable economic context, we moved from our birth and childhood to adolescence. And adolescents are really eager to get things done. And that's why the company decided, with its stockholders, to be floated in the stock exchange. And that was very successful, and there were excellent growth prospects. But as you know, adolescence is full of troubles, immaturity, and lack of adaptation to reality. Reality turns out to be quite tough. The economic crisis arrived, and we had quite a bit of difficult competition, and we underwent a difficult stage. But we got over it. The company got over it, the way we all did in our teenage years. And the company overcame the problems. It turned around in terms of the bottom line. We started to grow again. We adjusted to reality. We downsized slightly, but then we sought an alliance with our main competitor at the time, another airline operating from Barcelona, which you'll all recall, namely ClickAir. And we were successful. This was a successful endeavor. After this, we became youth, young adults. We were no longer adolescents as such. We were a strong company. We merged with ClickAir. That was the new Vueling. And we began a really extraordinary approach with a commitment to the airport of El Prat and to internationalization. And that turned out really well. Starting in 2009, a key year because of the merger, we've achieved a lot of things. First of all, with an incredible cooperation with AENA. I'm very glad that Fernando Chegaray, who was Director General of the airport, is with us today, and also the AENA is here. And well, with Terminal 1, we started out with Terminal 1, and it was extremely successful. And since then, quite exceptionally in this difficult industry that we're in, we started to have profits. And I can tell you that we will have a profit this year too. I can't tell you the figure ahead of time because we're floated in the stock exchange, so we have to tell the National Stock Exchange Authority. But the fact is that we've been reaping profits for the past 4 years in a context that, as you know, is very difficult for the airline industry and for the economy as a whole. But we didn't just take off in Terminal 1. We didn't just have the merger, we didn't just turn around the company, but we also began something that was extremely good for Barcelona, Catalonia, and for all of Spain. We started to turn El Prat into a mini-hub, in modest terms. But still, it's a very important hub for us because it is an increasingly significant connecting flight airport. So we can take people from Morocco to St. Petersburg on a single flight code, and of course we carry their luggage from end to end with this connecting flight. This is very important toward the future. Why is that? Because it has enabled our international expansion. We set up bases elsewhere, in Toulouse and Amsterdam, and it enabled us to feed into long-haul flights. And this is how the airport of El Prat will be able to serve one of the main aspirations of Barcelona and Catalonia, which is to have intercontinental flights. In other words, the ability to have direct flights to other continents with no stopovers. Now, this was not easy. From the company's perspective, it has been complicated and sometimes difficult period, but ultimately we've managed to make many dreams come true. In just 8 years, we've gone from 3 airplanes to 60-odd. We've ordered 6 more, and we want to go much further, as our CEO will be explaining. We've moved to operating close to 200 routes, and our CEO will be telling us later that we are in a position to offer 100 destinations from Barcelona, which is no mean thing. We've already transported 60 million passengers, 2 million of them via our hub of El Prat. And we've achieved all of this, quite significantly, maintaining our highly competitive cost structure. I tend to say that Vueling is not a low-cost airline, it's an airline with low costs, which is not quite the same thing. And our success, the secret of our success is that with very low costs, we're able to offer on an increasing basis a product that is increasingly close to the kind of product offered by traditional airlines with much higher cost structures. That is, in a way, the secret of our story. We have a lot of energy left. This morning, we held an event with our staff, which was very rewarding for me because I was the oldest one of them, significantly so. I saw that we have a very youthful staff in our company, and that is the secret of our strength. There are people who are committed, who have verve, who are dedicated, and who know that they have to struggle on a daily basis to ensure that a company such as this one can continue to be a successful company even against the present backdrop. I have a very clear message here. I told you that our company was born and we had our childhood, quite naturally. We underwent and also enjoyed the sins and successes of adolescence. We've been young for quite some time. Now we embark on a period of maturity. We are a mature company, but we are mature in the sense of being in the full blossom of our life. We know exactly what we want to do, and we have the balance and the experience needed to look to the future with great optimism. Honorable President of the Government of Catalonia, we have chosen a motto for this event launching the future of Vueling: to dream, to fly, to grow. We start by dreaming because life is impossible without dreams. Flying is what we do, so we fly. But in order to dream and to fly and to survive, we know we need to grow. From a new perspective, from a new approach. We've learned a lot from the experience of the past, but we know that if we so choose, and we do choose, so we stand before a powerful future, and we want to contribute to the interest of the whole country, of this country, of all of our citizens. We will be a great company. We are a great company already, and we want everyone to share in this view because it is in everyone's interest for this to turn out fine. Thank you very much. Mr. Alex Cruz, the CEO of Vueling.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the future of Vueling, and a special welcome to all of you following us through the internet. Many thousands of you at the moment, investors, friends, faraway partners, thank you for being with us. We hope you were here with us, and we hope to see you soon. Every year, every season, a new journey. Join us in discovering the new journeys of your and our future.
As Joseph Piquet pointed out, this has indeed been a long trip thus far. But Vueling starts a new trip every year. And once again, with the summer season of 2013, we will be beginning a very special new voyage here in El Prat. We are going to begin some new growth in direct destinations, 100 new destinations. Human minds tend to stick to round figures. Well, remember this one. Next year, in March, we will have 100 destinations from Barcelona. That's more than most European airlines have from their home airports. So in addition to in Scandinavia, Stockholm, Copenhagen, Aalborg and Stavanger, we'll have Oslo, Bergen, Gothenburg and Helsinki. In Germany, in addition to Berlin, Munich, Nuremberg and Hamburg, we'll add Dresden, Dortmund, Stuttgart, Hanover, Düsseldorf and finally Frankfurt. In Eastern Europe, we will be adding Sofia and to Vienna, Prague, Bucharest, Moscow and St. Petersburg, and we will continue to grow beyond a shadow of a doubt in the Russian market. In Greece, Athens, Mykonos and Thessaloniki won't be alone. We will also be flying to Rhodes and Kos. And yes, we will be flying finally to London, 2 flights a day from El Prat. In the Benelux, we were missing the Lux part. We will be flying to Luxembourg. In France, we had very little missing, but we will be flying to Reims. In Italy, our own Italy, Bari, Catania, Turin and Bologna will be added to our extensive offering of Palermo, Naples, Rome, Florence, Pisa, Verona, Venice and Milan. In Africa, we'll be expanding in Morocco with Casablanca, Fez, Nador and Tangiers, in addition to our very popular destination of Marrakesh. We will also continue to fly to Algiers and Oran and Tel Aviv, and we will be adding further destinations in Central Africa and the Eastern Mediterranean. Finally, Spanish territory will become completely covered with the incorporation of Fuerteventura, Pamplona and Valladolid. 100 destinations from El Prat. 100. In 2012, close to 1 out of 5 Vueling passengers in El Prat used this home airport of ours as a connecting flight airport. Close to 20%. This figure will lead us close to the 2 million objective that we set out with, starting from scratch about 2 years ago. These are 2 million people who would otherwise not have flown via El Prat. But with this amazing collection of destinations and frequencies, our connecting flight project will be growing further. It's a clear approach here. Barcelona has to become the most powerful hub in Europe by 2014, and Vueling will commit itself wholeheartedly to this. Barcelona is not only one of the most attractive cities in the world, it will also have one of the most attractive hubs in the world, thanks to Vueling. Permanent challenge to conventions is part of our company DNA. It's a rebel approach that leads us to consider how to offer more at a better price and with greater flexibility for our passengers. But that rebellion is also tempered with down-to-earth good sense that leads us to plan and to adapt our efforts to changing needs of the market. We know we need to offer more and be more modern, and that's why we're in the context of a very exciting process of selecting our new fleet for the future. We'll have new airplanes with the latest technologies. They will enable us to be even more efficient, and they will enable us to offer greater comfort to our passengers. Starting next year, we will be bringing in new airplanes straight from the factory with a new internal setup. We want more space between the seats, and we want more comfort for our passengers. We want to emphasize the front rows of the airplane. These airplanes will have the latest technology to serve passengers. We're getting everything into place in order to have a few Wi-Fi-enabled planes before the end of this year. Check your emails, check Facebook, check Twitter, check your sports result from the air. That will be an option now. In a few weeks' time, we'll be launching our new business class. We will be calling it Excellence Class. It will be a true new generation business class with everything our business passengers wish for. Front row seating with a free space next to you, reserved space for hand luggage on board, flexibility to change flights on the same day and the day before, preferential boarding, dedicated check-in and food on board, of course, and personal approaches with people knowing your name. And we should not forget safety and punctuality. 90% of our flights leave and arrive on time. This is one of the best scores in the industry. This is particularly important for business passengers, but it is for all of them, of course. We're going to keep this up, and we're going to improve on it because our staff is committed to that. As to safety, I'd like to remind you that we have achieved IOSA certification, the highest level of safety recognized by IATA, and so our staff continue to uphold the very highest standards of safety. Today, we are launching a new communication code projecting our new maturity and new size without renouncing our fresh and driving attitude that we've always had. The traveler is the center of our attention, is the focus of our attention. That is why in our new communication, people and their stories will be central. We understand the excitement felt by any passenger planning a trip, whether it's a business trip or a trip for pleasure. And this is part of all of our communication. Now people and their stories will be the center of our campaigns. We will be projecting passengers with their stories, and we will be considering how Vueling can meet their needs and make their trip possible. This is all in the context of a new brand concept, Love the Way You Fly. It's an international concept with a connotation of quality of service and of the company's new size. It conveys proximity and trust, but also an emotional component projecting the kind of flight experience we wish to share with passengers who choose to fly with us. But beyond the communication campaign, we've gone beyond that. We're going to make sure that this new image is enjoyed at any point of contact. In airports, the airplanes themselves, iPhone and Android apps, mobile partner, all of our corporate identity will be activated according to this new approach in just a few minutes' time. All of this, what we've done so far and what we will be doing, is based on a convergence of two factors. First, we have an exceptional human team. Exceptional. 2,000 direct employees in 12 bases in 4 different countries, sharing on a daily basis the excitement of creating and continuing to build a sustainable company. Secondly, permanent attention to our cost structure. This industry is highly competitive and difficult and subject to many factors that are beyond our control. In order to survive in this context, we need to offer our passengers an increasingly good product that is better tailored to the circumstances and to circumstances that affect them, not just the ones that affect us. In order to be passenger-focused, we need to be extremely disciplined in our cost containment. This is a central element of our management model. Everything else will only be possible if we stick to the discipline of giving more and more to our passengers at better prices and being central in our airport and in our city, and growing our company by generating new opportunities also for our employees, and also respecting the needs of the thousands of shareholders who have trusted in us, and by basically establishing our position as a main player in our industry. So to sum it all up, in 2013 we will continue to grow. Our growth will be outwards from Barcelona, and we will begin to renew our fleet. We will not only have more modern planes, but we'll also make them more comfortable for our passengers. We will be introducing a new fee structure that will be well suited to business passengers without neglecting all the others. And we will continue to be the lowest cost regular airline in the industry, because that is what enables us to do what our passengers need for us to do. Vueling is nothing without its passengers. Our president, our board, myself, and all of us are committed to continuing to gear all of our efforts towards making Vueling your company. Love the way you fly. But we can't do it alone. We're part of a broader community which is represented here physically and via the internet. The tourist industry operators, public authorities, and others. We wanted this evening to serve two purposes. We wanted to share with you our new plans and our new image. We wanted to tell you that despite all the difficulties, we still have the same drive and verve as the first day. But we also wanted to thank you. Thank you for your support, for working with us in seeking new ways of doing things. Honorable President, Minister, this is your Vueling. This is the Vueling of Barcelona and of Catalonia. This is one of your tools to ensure economic development. This is one of the companies that create jobs year after year. Vueling has been around for 8 years, and it's here to stay. You only need to see what we've built already. And all of the team at Vueling will continue to dream, will continue to fly, and will continue to grow. President, please join us in this. Please meet our team. Come and join us to dream, to fly, and to grow. Thank you very much to all of you for your attention. The invitation has been extended. Please come and join us. We will now ask the Honourable President of the Government of Catalonia to come and close this event. Minister, President of Vueling, CEO, authorities, ladies and gentlemen. In a few days' time, I will be joining you because unless the pre-election campaign spoils my plans, that's always a risk, I'm actually planning to fly to Russia, and that will be on a Vueling flight. So I'm not saying this so you'll treat me better, because I know you'll treat me very well, but I'm just saying it to point out that I have full confidence in you. I wanted to congratulate you. Because this is certainly a very young, new company. Giuseppe Piquet pointed out that it's mature, but if a company that's only been around for 8 years is mature, well, I mean, I've only been the president of the government of Catalonia for 2 years. That means I must be a child. I feel I'm a child as a president, but the company has grown so much and has overcome so many difficulties, as we just heard. That's necessarily a company that you can trust in. I wanted to state this clearly. As you know, here in Catalonia, in our country, there have been some very traditional companies, some of which were very strong, had a strong local presence, and they've been leaving. Then there were some newer companies that made commitments and took approaches that seemed to be successful and then turned out not to be. And then some other companies that were not necessarily traditional ones, but which took a firmer stance perhaps, and that have managed to take root and are not, well, I wouldn't say flagship companies, because that is a thing of the past, but they are companies that we trust home companies. The president of Vueling and its CEO have made it quite clear that Vueling has made a very definitive commitment with no possible return, perhaps. I was reminded of that when we were taking off. As you know, when pilots go beyond a certain point, there is no possible return. So I think that's the way it is. I think with the tack taken by Vueling in setting up a strong base, a strong hub here in Barcelona and El Prat in Catalonia, I think we're past the point of no return. And that is something I'm very glad about, because our country needs this kind of commitment. I've just arrived here with another guest that's with me from inaugurating a new logistical center for Schneider Electric, very close to the airport of El Prat and very close to the port of Barcelona. This is another multinational company which has shown its confidence in our territory and in our operations base and on this logistical base, even in this time of crisis. And they show their trust in the fact that a powerful port with significant investments currently underway and a highly up-to-date airport, because that is a fact, a very modern and up-to-date airport, and perhaps in a short while a train, because that is the missing piece of the puzzle. Well, let me just break in with a short parenthetical statement here as a reminder. Over the past 20 years, Spain has made the most significant high-speed rail investment in the whole world using the European gauge. But in all these 20 years, we've been unable to connect a single one of those new European gauge tracks to Europe. And, I mean, we certainly have invested in high-speed rail. We've invested the most in the shortest time, 20 years. But hopefully by next year, I'm knocking on wood, I can't because there's no wood here, but I would knock on wood. But the fact is that for the time being, we do not have international rail connections beyond some provisional connections, some provisional links made in the port of Barcelona, and that's it. So we're missing this major railway infrastructure to connect our country to Europe. This is something that is demanded by the world of industry, by the world of logistics, by the industrial fabric of our country. But when this is complete, and that is coming soon, once this is complete, the combination in this small country of ours of a port as powerful as this one, an airport as modern as ours, and this strong railway infrastructure just in the Barcelona metropolitan area will significantly change our prospects for growth. Copying part of your logo here. So here we are, and Vueling has made this commitment. I'd like to congratulate you on this, and I'd like to thank you for it, because our country needs this kind of international projection nowadays. We all know that our domestic market is just too small for us now. And on top of that, it is at a stage of fair stability, but stability rather on a downward basis. And we know that recovering our domestic market will take some time. But everyone is also aware of the fact that there are some regions, some territories, and Catalonia is one of them, some territories that are in a position to win the game of international projection. That means, well, tourism, logistics, industry, a whole series of things, and of course, foreign investment. The battle of international projection is one that we can win, But we need to make commitments toward this end. We need to make investments where they will bring the highest economic return for the whole, for everybody. That's not always been the case, of course. We need to do all this, and we need to have international connection capabilities from every possible perspective. This applies to Barcelona and it applies to Catalonia. I remember that 5.5 years ago, this is not quite as long ago as when Vueling was born, 5.5 years ago, there was a major event held at Yese by the business community of Catalonia. And then after that, nothing happened. Sometimes when these meetings take place, people take note. And you get the impression that in spite of a lot of drive and a lot of demands, these demands are not listened to properly. Some of these demands are common sense. At a time of scarce resources such as this, such resources have to be invested where the greatest return will be obtained for everybody. And that is something that hardly ever happens, and that's a shame. It's a real shame. But we need to continue to drive in the same direction, because if there's anybody who can continue to work towards international projection in Southern Europe, that's Catalonia. If operating airlines, and in particular Vueling, can help us towards this, well, we want to congratulate you and thank you most sincerely. We've heard about what you've told us today, which shows that you've made a clear commitment and that you're past the point of no return. We're very grateful, and we know that you can play the role of the kind of company that our country needs in order to have links with our closest neighbors at first, but perhaps in the long term, much beyond that. This is something that has been in the air in Barcelona and Catalonia for a long time, and we want it to happen. If Vueling can play this role, you'll have all of our cooperation, our gratitude, and our congratulations too. And now, to wind up, I'd like to add a note of perhaps irony. I'm going to take your slogan and apply it to Catalonia. Your slogan was to dream, to fly, and to grow. I believe that's what you said, right? Okay, well, if you're not charging any royalties for this, since you're going to be making a profit this year, you don't need to charge royalties from a very precariously financed administration. We don't have to make any reports to the National Stock Exchange Commission because we're not going to have a profit, or quite the contrary. Well, I would just like to change the slogan slightly, to dream, to want, to grow. Thank you very much. Well, our flight is over. We hope you've enjoyed the flight. And if you like, we will end with that sentence that is a challenge and a commitment. But of course, I can never pronounce it as well as Alex Cruz. Love the way you fly. Thank you very much for coming, and we really hope that we will continue to fly and dream with all of you. Thank you very much. Good evening.